Alright everyone, welcome back. So we have yet again another elimination video today. Another team from the Western Conference has been added to the list of teams who are no longer in it, and that is the Calgary Flames. It shouldn't surprise anyone that Calgary's out. Well, it might surprise a little bit of people. This team was looking like they were okay for a little bit, then they were looking like they were not so good. Really, Calgary's in that stage where they're not good, but they're not bad either. They're just like mediocre. They're in the middle. That's really where Calgary has been through the majority of this season, and even last year too, they were that as well. So when you look at the Flames at the time of elimination, they are currently 34, 37, and 5 for 73 points. They are 25th in the NHL. They have scored 231 goals, have let in 252. They are 19, 19, and 1 at home, and they're 15, 18, and 4 on the road. So, as I said, Calgary has been inconsistent. There are games where they look great. There are games where they don't look so great. It's kind of just, every other game they've been just like, eh. So, really, Calgary is one of those teams as well that they're just in the middle of the pack. They're trying to fight. They were trying to fight for a spot, but obviously they've fallen too far back, and they're now out of it. However, there are some spots on this team that do bode a bright future. However, this team is just a long ways away from being a legitimate contender again. They've lost all of their key players. The guys they still have aren't great. A lot of the guys they sold off at the trade deadline. I do think this team was much better before they ended up trading Tanev and all the other players they moved. But obviously, since then, they haven't been so great. So your leading scorer is actually Nazem Kadri. Kadri was 76 games played, 25 goals, 41 assists for 66 points. The funny thing is, in the first episode of the Nordcast, we actually talked about how Nazem Kadri was going to Calgary and how he would be a very effective player. He hasn't been what the money he gets paid for deserves, but I really do think that he has probably been the best player on this team outside of some of the other guys who have been traded. He's still been an effective player, a solid 70-point scorer when it's all said and done, most likely. So, yeah, I give props to Nazem Kadri. Hopefully, he'll keep getting better as the years go on. But obviously, this team is in a spot right now where you really don't know. Like, we really don't know exactly where they are. And Kadri's probably going to be with this team for the next 8 years or so. So keep that in mind. A player who has looked really positive, though, for this Calgary Flames team is Yegor Sharangovich. Sharangovich, offensively and even defensively, too, has looked really solid, both on the penalty kill and when he's playing for this team in 5-on-5. He's looked good on both ends of that. 76 games played, 30 goals, 26 assists for 56 points this season with Calgary. So, Sharangovich, a 30-goal season is great. A guy who in New Jersey, not even in his rookie year, was kind of written off. He wasn't really that effective of a player, and they obviously moved him for Tyler Toffoli. And it looked like at that point that was going to be a really good deal for the Devils and a fleece for Calgary, meaning they got fleeced. But Sharangovich has been good. And I mean, Toffoli is no longer in New Jersey at the time of recording of this video. So Sharangovich, definitely a player there who has been a shocking surprise, has gotten the ice time, and has looked effective. I think that's kind of what we expected to see out of Sharangovich this year, and we've seen it. He's looked really impressive, and I hope that, the Flames, will keep him on this roster as they head through this strange little retool they're going through, and hopefully, things will get better on the back end of that. Third in scoring is Blake Coleman. Coleman obviously has been with this team for a few years now. Was a player who was looked at as having a bad contract. Well, not necessarily now. Coleman, 76 games played, 29 goals, 23 assists for 52 points with the Calgary Flames this season. Coleman, I think, is obviously a player who has been impressive this year. I really do think he has. And I think that, the way he played in those first 2 years under that Calgary contract wasn't great. Even in the years where they were really good, it wasn't all too great, but he's been much better since then. Him and a lot of other players have really improved with getting an increased amount of ice time. With guys like Tkachuk and Gaudreau leaving, it's given a lot of opportunities for other players to move up. and Coleman was one of those guys. So he's been good this year. Not the player that we thought he was going to be, but he still has been good this year. for Calgary with a team that has lost a lot over the last couple of months and the last couple of years as well. It's crazy how this team went from such a great team in 21-22, and now they're just maybe even a rebuild heading into 24-25. So it's a really weird thing to think about when you look at Calgary, but that's how it happened. Fourth in scoring is Mackenzie Weegar. Weegar with 76 games played, 19 goals, 29 assists for 48 points. He's been good too. A defenseman there who was involved in the big trade 2 years ago has probably become this team's best defenseman with Tanev and Hanifin leaving. He's gotten a lot more ice time and has produced a lot more points since those guys have left. So Weegar, probably your best defenseman at this point on the Calgary Flames. There's not a whole lot of options there, but he's probably your best one at this point. And finally, fifth in scoring is Jonathan Huberdeau. Huberdeau with 75 games played, 11 goals, 37 assists for 48 points. Coincidentally, he has the same amount of points as Weegar, a player he was traded with to Calgary. And I might need to go look back at that trade this offseason. It's been 2 years removed from at this year. So it's definitely something I want to look at. But yeah, Huberdeau, obviously, for the amount of money he gets paid, 48 points is not acceptable. He gets paid like $10.5 million. That's insane. For 48 points? Yeah, no. So he has not been the guy he's been with the Florida Panthers, with Calgary. So, I mean, he's here to stay. Nobody's taking on that contract. Nobody's going to move him. He's going to be in Calgary for the rest of that deal unless they decide to just buy him out. Which, if they buy him out, that's a 14-year contract you're dealing with, and you're looking at like a Minnesota-type situation there with Calgary. I don't think they do that. I feel like they'll keep Huberdeau for at least another 2 to 3 years and then maybe buy him out after that. But he's going to be here to stay for a while with the Calgary Flames. So keep that in mind. When you get into your goalies, I mean, yeah, the goalies, there's been a lot of guys who have fluctuated through the net. There have been 3. A lot of it's been Markstrom. Markstrom, a 23-21-2 record, a 2.74 goals against average, and a .906 save percentage. Markstrom hasn't been bad. I think that his numbers kind of like overshadow what he's actually been this year. He's been a pretty solid goalie. He's not been great, but he's still been pretty solid. Good enough that teams have inquired on trading for him in multiple moves. And Markstrom, as well as that too, reported that he did want to get moved at the trade deadline. So there is a chance that, you know, when you head into the offseason and you get another opportunity to trade him, maybe you pull the trigger knowing that Markstrom did want to go somewhere else. But obviously, we'll find out there. And it really sucks too because the Devils were coincidentally the team that wanted to go out and get him, and now they could get eliminated as soon as tomorrow. So rough times in New Jersey and Calgary as well. So yeah, Markstrom, We'll see what happens for there with him. Daniel Vladar, obviously up next there too, the backup goalie. He's had an 8-9-2 record, a 3.62 and a .882 save percentage. I think he leaves. I don't think he stays this year with Calgary. I just think that I look at his overall numbers so far through the last like couple of games, he has not been the goalie that we expected him to be. I think that if there's any of these goalies that gets moved, it's probably going to be most likely Vladar, even though I said Markstrom could too. Yeah, there could be a lot of tweaks here with Calgary's roster, so we'll obviously see there what Vladar will bring. And then obviously too, Dustin Wolf is your third goalie. Wolf with a 3.7-1 record, a 3.30 and a .895. Now, I don't want to overrate it because I do think that there have been some factors with Calgary's defense, and obviously down the stretch, too, they haven't been all too great. So I think that you got to keep in mind with Wolf's stats. But I do think he's still a very solid and can be a very suitable starting goalie. I just think it's a matter of getting him developed in the right system, getting him to play the way Calgary does, and just getting him to be the way Wolf was when he was in the WHL. So, yeah, that is your Calgary Flames elimination video. Again, I really do think that at the trade deadline, Conroy did a good job of moving Lindholm. He did a good job of moving Hanifin. He did a good job moving Tanev. He even did a good job with the Toffoli deal. So he's done a solid job here with Calgary, moving away a lot of their assets in an obviously unideal situation. So definitely I give credit to Conroy. We'll see what the future looks like for Calgary. We'll see what the draft picks they get. We'll see where they place. But obviously I'm very interested to see what Calgary does in the future, and obviously with guys like Kuzmenko, Connor Zary, Matthew Coronado, other players they have drafted and traded for over the last couple of years, and with Wolf backing him up in net, this team could be better off than we think they would be. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the Calgary Flames. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe down below. That would be greatly appreciated. But regardless, we have 3 more of these. We got 2 clinching videos, one elimination video that will drop soon. But regardless, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.